Okay, we're recording.
Hey everyone, this is Roman, and I'm here with Carrie Branovan and Joe Hardy, and we're here to talk about the movement medicine workshop that's going to be coming in March 20th, 21st, and 22nd to Chicago. We had such a great time last July with the introduction of this work when David Mooney came to Chicago, and Ecstatic dance community and Five Rhythms community all came together for this incredible practice. So we're so glad to have Joe coming in March, who's on this call with us. And yeah, Joe, I would love to introduce you, and please tell our community just a little bit about movement medicine, a little about yourself, and how you got to this point of being a faculty member of the school.
Hi everyone. Well, I live in the southwest of the UK in a very small place called Totnes, which is one of these beautiful multi-layered communities. And I've been dancing, I guess, for the last 25 years. It's a profound passion of mine. And in particular, using dance as an intentional practice in order to explore myself, relationships, and relationship with the wider field and the wider world. And how dance is such a revelatory experience because it helps us drop down into a knowing that is way beyond my mind, which is just fabulous. So I also have a background as a psychotherapist. I was a psychotherapist for maybe 25 years. And at the beginning of the School of Movement Medicine, which was, let me think, maybe around 2009, Susanna and Yakov, who are the founders of Movement Medicine, invited me to be a mentor for the school. They also lived in the same town as me, and we've been friends for many years when they were the main Five Rhythms teachers in Europe for very many years. So I'm also a Five Rhythms teacher and an open floor teacher, and I'm a passionate student of all forms of conscious dance and self-inquiry. So I guess that's me. Movement medicine is a profound practice because it takes it beyond just being about my embodiment into really all my relations with the wider web of life. And in particular, I think the thing that draws me most to movement medicine is this idea of really looking at the story that we're telling ourselves and looking at the story that is the how should I say, the shape upon which we create our reality, and really questioning what that story is so that we can perhaps start to learn to tell ourselves a new story and weave and co-create a new story to help reshape the craziness of what seems to me like the world we're living in, a craziness of separation, numbness, loneliness, and all the rest of it, which is why many of us dance, isn't it? So yes, that's something.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's amazing. I experienced just that with my work of movement medicine so far. So super excited to hear you reiterate that and continue to push that. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So Joe, Carrie here.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. Roman and I are really excited that you're coming, and your workshop is called Evolutionary Presence. So can you tell us about why people should be excited about coming to Evolutionary Presence and what they're going to leave with when the weekend is over?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the more I listen to wise people of our time, and today it was Charles Eisenstein, I don't know if you've heard his talks, but really that we are in dire need of nothing less than a revolution of love. and a revolution of the whole way that we perceive our reality. And that, you know, as we're really spiraling in terms of climate and concreting the world and you know, just destroying ecosystems. And what he was talking about is basically ecosystems have an inherent intelligence. You know, nature has an inherent intelligence that holds a natural rebalancing system, and that as we kind of go through this, well, waking up really to the reality that we're carrying an inheritance of numbness from our colonization of different places in the world. We're carrying an inheritance of collective trauma down the generations that kind of blocks our capacity to love, that blocks our capacity to connect. And of course, many, many of us are in the process of unraveling this story, you know, which is really fantastic. But I was just with this idea of biodiversity being one of the key principles upon which life is based. And this idea of rewilding our body, you know, rewilding our intelligence, reconnecting to the web of life. And there's nothing like movement practice as a teacher of that rewilding of ourself, you know. And when I say rewilding, what I mean is connecting, of course, to the wild, passionate dancer inside of us, which, you know, ecstatic dancers are masters at. You know, that's usually what ecstatic dancers love. And I'm a big fan of ecstatic dance. I think it's a great entranceway for so many people to the dance, and particularly younger people. And then rewilding is also re-inhabiting the body, you know, re-waking up the intelligence that is so way beyond our mind, and coming back to the simplicity of the intelligence of our two bare feet on the ground. And so this workshop is really about a deepening of that process of listening inwardly, a deepening of the process of seeing the ways in which our stories show up that block our spontaneity and block that intelligence. So, you know, how do we be in the moment? How do we be in the present moment? Because that is devoid of the past and devoid of the future, you know, things like regrets and memories and hopes and fears and all the rest of it in the future. Because only in this present moment can we be curious, can we be really listening to what is needed to come through us. And so I believe that this present moment, which is talked a lot about by a lot of awakening teachers, isn't it? It's like a gateway to the beginning of being able to birth this new world and birth this new story. Because we need to be clear enough and resourced enough and resilient enough to not be totally blown around by the winds of our mind. So that we can inquire, because not one of us knows how we're going to do this. Not one of us knows how we're going to create a world that is sustainable, how we can create a world that is really, Thich Nhat Hanh uses this beautiful phrase, into being, you know, where actually everything affects the whole. And so this workshop, it's my intention that we'll just give a little micro magnifying glass on reconnecting ourselves and learning practices of how we can reconnect ourselves to not only our embodiment, but also in relationship with each other and relationship with this presence that is imbued with the qualities of being able to listen, witness, be inclusive of every part of our experience.
Wow.
So those are just some of the things that is I'm excited to bring.
That's wonderful, Joe. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. it to me sounds like it's such a incredible support for ecstatic dancing, because to me, and how I present ecstatic dance to others, it's definitely a place to be inspired, to connect to this authentic movement that wants to arise from within ourselves. So what you just described seems like it opens up this foundation, which allows us to dive in and experience not just our own inner connection, but then as well the outer connection, because it's such a big portion of ecstatic dance is, yes, that there is space to dance alone, and there's just as much space to connect with others. So that's really, really wonderful. I see. Can you speak more on how movement medicine can affect the ecstatic dance space, or is complementary to the ecstatic dance space?
I mean, it's so hard to speak to that because everyone's experience of the dance is different, But what I would say that movement medicine brings is practices that help. So, on the one hand, we have yoga, which is a really super disciplined practice, right? And on the other hand, ecstatic dance allows for this kind of freedom and wildness. And then what I like to see is conscious dance practices are kind of such as 5 rhythms and movement medicine is somewhere in the middle of that, where they're embracing both the wild openness and something of the discipline of a practice like yoga. So, for example, in movement medicine, we really work with alignment, aligning with heaven, with the heart, with the earth, and then embodying what it is to wake up as a dancer of life. So Yakov talks about the dancing warrior, and I sometimes call that the gardener or the lover of life, the one inside of us that can wake up and grow in emergent qualities such as listening, focus, attention to what's happening. And that often means facing into some of the more difficult things or the shadowy things and letting those really have a space to be inhabited in the dance and fully embodied, fully expressed, so that, we can clear a space for new inspiration to come in, which, in ecstatic dance is a natural process that happens anyway as we go through the process. But this just gives a little bit more focus and a little bit more intentional practice, let's put it like that.
Wonderful.
Without hopefully taking away one's kind of freedom to, really be oneself.
Yes, that's wonderful. Yeah, I really, from the work that I've practiced, I really got a lot of incredible insight as to how I can experience myself on the dance floor, and my relationship to my body, to my energy, and then in connection with others and the different areas of connection that I can experience. And whereas before I thought that if I was in one area, if I was disconnected, it wasn't something that I wanted. To me, it meant like, oh, there's like a lack of interest or something like that. Whereas through movement medicine, I learned that that's just another space where we can connect from and express from, not necessarily have to be completely intertwined energetically or feeling each other energetically, but can be just within ourselves, dancing together and just feeling myself, or dancing together and feeling the periphery of what's around myself. So one didn't signify the success of my interaction. It was more so it opened up the field for me to experience success of interaction on so many more levels in the dance. So just that opened me up so much, and I appreciated that nugget of gold so much as well. So it's really exciting to hear that more of this is coming, and more expansion is going to be available for us. Yes, so really excited about this work. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate that, all those descriptions.
Yes.
You're welcome. And just one more thing on that, Roman. It's beautiful what you say, that by becoming more and more deeply in our embodiment, that actually in itself creates presence and connection, so that we can all be dancing on the dance floor without having to necessarily be directly in relationship, that there's an awakening that happens in the relational space between us that is so profoundly nourishing. And my sense is that that is part of the gateway of finding this way into a new story.
Wonderful.
So thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful.
You're very welcome, Joe. You're very welcome.
Yeah.
So I'm so inspired right now. I just feel in this moment we're bridge building, having experienced the apprenticeship of movement medicine in England, and then praying, how can I bring this medicine home? How can I invite it? And then Roman was so generous and open and passionate about bringing this to his ecstatic dance community in Chicago. And here we are, bringing Joe, and that's just come to me as this beautiful bridge building. So you're coming in March 20th,
Yes.
21, and 22. And for people that are interested in diving into this work, Roman, can you say how they can register for the workshop?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, Carrie. Yeah. If this resonates with you, if this work resonates with you, or if you feel a pull to it, just like I did, or if you're slightly interested, we're ready to include you in the best way possible, whether that's letting you know more information about the workshop, or giving you access to sign up directly. I think we even have an early bird price that's up right now, and even a payment plan that's something that can really help you join this workshop. So the easiest way that I know of is if you just go to ecstaticdancechicago.com, and in the menu there's a tab for transformational workshops. So when you will click that, it'll either take you to a page with a link, or a drop-down menu, and you'll see the movement medicine practice in March with the March dates. So you can just click on that. Also on the homepage, there is a link that just says Ecstatic Dance also hosts transformational workshops. And if you click on that link, that'll take you to the list of workshops. And I believe movement medicine will be the second one. So there, at that page, at the movement medicine March dates page for Evolutionary Presence, you'll find videos of Yakov and Susanna talking about what is movement medicine, and they're just so fascinating and so captivating, and so eloquent in the way they talk about this practice. So I highly recommend watching those videos. You can also just read more about movement medicine and the practice, and Joe herself, and find the links to the Eventbrite site. Another way, just Googling movement medicine evolutionary presence, and the Chicago dates will show up, and just click on those. So super easy to find more information.
All right. So I'll be there, Roman will be there, and Joe will be there. And if you feel called to the work, we hope to see you there. Thanks very much again,
And
Joe.
can I add one thing, Carrie?
Yes, please.
Which is, I'm loving this collaboration, in terms of the spirit of inclusion with the ecstatic dance, and then you with the connection to movement medicine and the apprenticeship. And also I understand there's a collaboration with Karyn Gartner, who has roots in 5 rhythms and open floor. And it's very precious to my heart that as, different forms of ecstatic and conscious dance, that we collaborate and we weave together, and we include and learn to learn from each other and the different practices. So, I'm a constant student, and I'm loving that that's happening in Chicago. So really, thank you from the bottom of my heart that you're all connected in that way. It feels like the spirit of the workshop and the work.
Oh, that's excellent. All right.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, thank you for
Thank
speaking
you.
that. It's so important. I feel the same way.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, blessings, and thank you. Thank you for your time, and we will see you soon.
I see you there on the dance floor. Yay.
Thanks, Joe.